A few days later, Mr. Brocklehurst came into Gateshead Hall. He was a very tall man. His eyes were dark and his face was cruel. "Jane Eyre," he said to me, "God does not like bad children. God punishes bad children, Jane Eyre." "God will punish John Reed," I replied. "John Reed hits me and he shouts at me." "That's not true. You are a liar, Jane Eyre," Mr. Brocklehurst said. "You must not tell lies, and you must not live here with your cousins. You will come to Lowood School. You will become a good girl." "I want to come to your school, sir. I want to leave this house." "Bad girls are punished at my school, Jane Eyre," Mr. Brocklehurst said. "The girls work very hard at Lowood." "I will work hard. I will be a good pupil, Mr. Brocklehurst," I said. And this is an illustration of the encounter between Mr. Brocklehurst and poor Jane Eyre. Do you think Mr. Brocklehurst is a kind gentleman? What do you think of Jane Eyre? She's leaving the comfort of her cousin's house, living with her aunt, and she's moving to this boarding school. Do you think she's happy? Two weeks later, I left Gateshead Hall. I went to Lowood School. Lowood School. It was the month of January. I arrived at Lowood School at night. A servant took me up some stairs and into a big bedroom. There were many beds in the room. The girls in the beds were asleep. The servant took me to an empty bed. I put on my night clothes and I got into bed. Soon I was asleep too. I woke up very early. A loud bell was ringing. The bedroom was dark and cold. I watched the other girls. They washed in cold water and they dressed quickly. And this is an illustration of Lowood School's first day for Jane Eyre. There were a plain brown dress next to my bed. There was a pair of ugly, heavy shoes. I washed quickly, then I put on my new clothes. I was very hungry. I followed the other girls down the stairs. We sat down at long tables in the large dining room. Our food was terrible. "The food is bad again," one of the girls said. "Stand up," a teacher shouted. "Don't talk." We stood up. We did not speak. We walked into a big schoolroom and we sat down. There were about 80 girls in the schoolroom, and there were 4 classes. The oldest girls were in the 4th class. I was in the 1st class. She must be very young. 4 teachers came into the room and we began our lessons. The lessons were not interesting. First, we read some pages in a book. Then our teacher asked us questions about those pages. After 4 hours, we went outside. It was very cold. Very soon, a bell rang. Lessons started again. 3 weeks passed. One afternoon, the head teacher came into the schoolroom. The head teacher's name was Miss Temple. Mr. Brocklehurst was with her. We all stood up. I stood behind an older girl. I did not want Mr. Brocklehurst to see me. Mr. Brocklehurst walked slowly around the room. Everybody was very quiet, and then I dropped my book. Mr. Brocklehurst stopped walking. He looked at me. "Ah, the new girl," he said. "Come here, Jane Eyre." Then he pointed at two of the older girls. "You two girls, put Jane Eyre on that high chair," he said. "Look at Jane Eyre, everybody. This child is bad. She is a liar. She will be punished. Miss Temple, teachers, girls, do not talk to this child." Then he spoke to me again. "Jane Eyre, you must stand in that chair for 2 hours. You're a bad girl." That evening, I cried and cried. But Miss Temple was kind to me. "You are a good pupil, Jane," she said. "And you're not a bad girl. I am your friend, Jane." "Thank you, Miss Temple," I said.